She who's talking about the whole PSU bank scenario, I think.
It is not only FSLRC which suggests. There are other people who can suggest. That's why it's in public domain. Even you can make a suggestion. We'll take it into account.
Sir, if I may just add to the question.
No, wait a minute.
Please.
This is legacy of the from the UPA government. Actually, it all started with that because since 1930, when the interest rate went up to a very high level, and then government, trying to sort of, industry wanted that, interest rate should be brought down, and Chidambaram and his team was trying his best, and the Reserve Bank governor would not listen, because monetary policy all over the world is controlled or checked by the Reserve Bank governor. So now question is that why raise the debate at all?
So I'll tell you that first of all, for you, I am not interested in going to history, who said what, who did what, for what purpose. I am looking at the future. Secondly, your information is completely wrong. The Reserve Bank governor doesn't fix monetary policy in most countries. I told you I have the information. If you want, I can give it to you. I can share it with you. Your information is completely wrong. It's not wrong. It's completely wrong.
So did the Finance Ministry write letters to all the three?
Wait a minute. She had a point. Let me begin with that.
Satna, you wanted to ask a question.
Sir, some reports have also come out that the IFC is actually the government's view and it's not really.
That is where the media has jumped to a conclusion. I told you we have to go through a process.
No, but tomorrow if somebody gives a proposal on the Administrative Reforms Commission, similar draft, that the Prime Minister's authority should be diluted in the cabinet, will it be put up on a government website?
Ask DOP. I don't handle Administrative Reform Commission.
Last question, yeah. Now let
If I may answer, first, is the creation of the Monetary Policy Committee now dependent on the introduction of the IFC draft?
No, it is not. It is not. FSLRC gave a draft which is, as I said, what I would call IFC 1, and the present draft, which is IFC 1.1. That covers, there the Monetary Policy Committee is only about 2% or 3% of the entire suggestions. Since we have signed a monetary policy framework agreement with RBI, and since the MPC therefore has taken some urgency, we are in discussions with RBI governor, with the RBI on the form and manner of the MPC, and in fact we now have a position which is actually agreed, but which I am not going to disclose to you. Because that is not I cannot disclose to you because it will ultimately be disclosed only in Parliament.
So how quickly can it get in Parliament, sir? How quickly can it get that clarity?
So what sort of time?
So again, what sort of time frame is that we would like to do it as early as possible, whether it will happen in 3 months or 2 months or 1 month or 6 months. It depends on so many other circumstances. So I can't give you a time frame. No comments.
Let him ask one question.
Key point being made, as you say, by some around the media, is why the government said that this is FSLRC report. FSLRC seems to.
No, again, I'm sorry, you misunderstood that. Please see a website. What it says, it doesn't ascribe it to FSLRC. The point is that some confusion is being created because basically it is, as I said, IFC 1.1 in a sense. So therefore there may be some confusion on that account. It's a committee, everything is public domain, including constitution of a committee headed by Justice Shri Krishna. That's also in public domain. It's not hidden from anybody. So it's actually not pertinent to ask whose recommendation it is, because that's also in public domain. And if you see the website, that very clearly indicates certain changes has been made. It doesn't say by FSLRC. Nowhere.
Let him.
There are some reports like just want to know, whether while coming up with this draft proposals, whether the views of Finance Minister or Mr. Raghuram Rajan's have been taken.
No, as I said, this is a matter under consultation. So obviously everybody's views have been taken into account.
Sir, who owns this draft? Who owns this draft? FSLRC or government?
The people of India own this draft.
Can't be.
That's why it's in public domain. No, I'm sorry. I'm very serious about it.
Yeah.
It's in public domain for that reason. Right now it's published draft because they must comment on all the suggestions received. So the point is that no, there's no need for ownership. Point is, I had the option of putting the entire 4,000 pages on the website for comments, further comments. That would have been absurd.
Look, if you're revising FSLRC recommendation...
When I revise it, I will revise it, as I said, with due process in the government. Haji, somebody here?
Last question.
एमपीसी के जो 4-3 का रेशियो आपने ड्राफ्ट में रखा है, 5-2 का रेशियो पहले था, ऐसे तमाम ऑप्शन आए होंगे, लेकिन उनमें से सिर्फ इस ऑप्शन को आपने चुना जिसमें 4-3 का
भाई एक पॉइंट इज, अब ये तो कोई अंत नहीं है ना कि ये ऑप्शन क्यों चुना, वो उसको चुना, ये भी एक ऑप्शन है, मैंने नहीं चुना ना. It's there in a draft, it's there, comment on it, no?
Last question, yeah.
No, my answer is that government hasn't applied its mind on what the final thing will be. Decision will be taken on file. I told you there are several models. All are here. Anybody can see this paper with me. Anybody who comes to me can see this paper, but don't come to me. So
the finance ministry would have given in writing to the committee, Sri Krishna committee to make...
Dekho, the point is, I just told you, I just clarified repeatedly. See, you're making repetitive questions and trying to put words in my mouth. Finance Ministry did the work of collection and collation because it is not possible to send few hundred papers, 1,000 papers of repetitive, sometimes repetitive text, because same session may be made by large number of people.
So related to members.
So none of the major central banks have a tile breaker mode provision. So where did you get this from? The government studied 33 central banks for the
All right, that was Rajiv Maheshwari clarifying on that whole B2 issue, saying that there's no plan to curtail RBI's power in monetary policy, and the second draft of code is in public domain for comments. Lata has also joined in. Lata, first thoughts on what we heard?
Well, I don't know if you call this clarifying or confusing. The issue just gets a little murkier. In the first place, when the recommendations were placed of the FSLRC, if the public gave recommendation, I cannot understand the word public. Now, who is the public? How responsible were they? How knowledgeable are they about how institution building is done? Or how institutions should get independence? What are the dynamics involved in monetary policy making? Did Professor Charles Goodhart from the United Kingdom write to them? Did any of the members of the Basel Committee write to them? Who are these people who have given the recommendations? And if these suggestions had come in, and because of that the FSLRC recommendations have been changed, then they are not the FSLRC's recommendations anymore. And we have Dr. Govinda Rao on statement saying that denying the RBI governor veto power is not my recommendation. Now it no longer becomes the FSLRC's recommendations because commission members themselves are distancing themselves. In any case, when the first recommendations came out, there were 3 very important dissenting voices, and you don't take a former deputy governor of the RBI, Udeshi, and Dr. P.J. Nayak and Y.H. Malegam very lightly. They were all dissenting members. So really, what is the commission's views? And now if the public has written, who is the public, and how do you change the recommendations of the commission members without taking their own permission? So should you allow further dissenting notes? Should Dr. Govinda Rao be allowed to write his dissenting note? If he writes, who else will dissent? So the whole thing is, I don't think clarifying, it is confusing things too much. It smacks of turf war, it smacks of lack of understanding. I don't think important things like monetary policy can be decided by asking the public. These are slightly, difficult subjects, esoteric subjects, and you call experts to do it. I would think that you should call former RBI governors to it, former finance secretaries for it, former finance ministers. I would like Chidambaram to be in the committee. I would like Yashwant Sinha to be in the committee. I would like Manmohan Singh to be in the committee. I would like Rangarajan Reddy and Subbarao and the like to be. Narasimham, the man who wrote the reforms for the banking sector, to be in the committee. These are guys who have made laws, who have seen what will be the dynamics and who should listen to whom. I don't know what is the public all about. I think a very, very serious issue like the Reserve Bank governor's powers is being discussed in an extremely unfortunate manner. more like a battleground of power struggle. It is true what Dr. Maharshi says, that the governor's veto power is a very small part of the financial code. And that is the unfortunate part. The Financial Code need not have been a constitution of India. If there were separate recommendations on the recovery body, it has a very nice institution which it is recommending. When banks are about to fail, the recovery body comes in and takes over the bank. Now the RBI does it, and that's not the way to do it. This is not the central bank's job. There should be an institution which should take over, look at the assets, look at the liabilities, redistribute the assets, as the case may be. Now, those recommendations are very sensible, how to tackle financial sector grievances. Now, the RBI's governor's veto power gets an overarching importance because that in itself is very significant. I fault the court primarily for trying to say too many things. I don't think that was their mandate in the first place, and that has been repeatedly said even by the Reserve Bank officials and others who look at it. The second part is that the governor's powers have to be discussed by extremely responsible parties, and I think what is going on at this point in time is too much noise. We should just avoid it and concentrate on more important things, I think, with respect to interest rates and the economy.
All right, well, stay on, Lata. We're actually going to try and get some comments from Govinda Rao in just a bit. But before that, just take a look at the markets. All three indices are now in the green. In fact, in the broader markets, there are some stocks that are spiking up. Names like Bharti Infratel, Ipca Laboratories, Amara Raja, MRF. So there are plenty of stocks that are moving on the upside. But we will concentrate more on the news flow that we've seen. So, Lata, over to you.
Well, I believe we have Dr. Govinda Rao, who was one of the members of the FSLRC, joining us. Dr. Rao, there is a decent amount of confusion with the second draft of the FSLRC saying that the governor should not have veto power, and yet that's what the first draft said. We got a public statement of yours saying that the commission never ever said that the governor should not have veto power. Then are these the FSLRC recommendations? How do we treat the second draft?
Well, I mean, I do not know how to treat the second draft because, if you look at the FSLRC recommendations carefully, which is in black and white, it says that there should be a monetary policy committee consisting of 7 people, 2 from the Reserve Bank of India, 2 appointed by the government on the advice of the Reserve Bank of India, and 3 from the Government of India. And it also stated that the Reserve Bank governor can exercise the veto power in case of there is, I mean, if it is necessary, but he is required to explain why he has exercised the veto power. So there is no question of taking away the veto power from the Reserve Bank governor. I mean, that is the recommendation of the FSLRC, which is in black and white.
So now that this the FSLRC says that its recommendation is removing the veto power, are you writing a dissenting note?
No, there is no question of FSLRC. FSLRC just doesn't exist.
Okay.
FSLRC gave the recommendation in March of 2013 and it vanished.
Okay.
There is no FSLRC. Sorry. Now, based on the FSLRC recommendation, they made the first draft of the financial
So whose baby is this? This opinion that the veto power should not exist is whose baby?
Now, I don't have no idea. I mean, how do I know who was?
Okay.
But the FSLRC doesn't exist anymore, and its recommendations have been made in the March of 2013, and that is that. Okay. And thereafterwards, I am not aware of any FSLRC.
All right. Dr. Rao, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, I think that completes the confusion. With FSLRC members themselves saying that this is not part of their recommendation. Well, I think we should take it at this. This is an input into the Monetary Policy Committee when it is finally formed. And I think at that point in time, the Parliamentary Committee, which will go into rewriting the RBI Act, will take cognizance of all responsible people. There are a lot of responsible people in Parliament, people who have been finance ministers or who have held various responsible portfolios. So my sense is good sense will prevail, and this is just noise which is distracting us from the real issues on the table, which is, at what stage the economy is, how to handle the banking sector, is the financial sector safe from bubbles and other tensions which will erupt in the global space. Those are the things we should deal with. I think this is noise, and we should not even waste our time debating this at the moment.
All right, Lata. Thanks a lot for that. Well, Lata spoke about real issues, and that's one of our questions of the day.